I was having a little bit of confusion over Rory's death, the attack on Diane, and the guy who chainsawed himself, because they don't seem to coincide with the blood moon, and after I went back and watched the episode over and tried to gauge what time it was in the particular scenes that things were happening, I think I got a little bit more accurate gauge on the time frame. But sadly, if you think I've found some grand solution, you might still get some good information out of this video, but I really don't have an answer. The earliest scene we see in what looks like the house and season 2 of my Roanoke Nightmare is when Sidney and Diana find the piglet ring outside the house. This scene seems to take place later in the day, and the next scene we see is Agnes being blamed for the piglet ring, and when Sidney and Diane leave the house, it does look like early morning outside, and thus I believe we can assume a day has gone by. Another scene that happens shortly after that is when you see Sidney and Diane at the Return to Roanoke Production office, where they get word that something bad has happened on the set, and when they arrive, it looks to be early afternoon based on the shadows. And this is when we find out that Chainsaw Man has cut into his own head, and all of that has happened. Now, after Diane and Sidney get into their little argument about Sidney wanting to continue production despite the fact that someone has just died, Diane drives off angry, and while she is driving and recording before she gets attacked by the pigman, she said it is 2:15 on Wednesday the 12th. Now, with this time and date, I tried to pinpoint when these things are going on. Reenact, Matt sees Lee on the tape of the security tapes leaving the night Mason died on 9/30/14. So assuming the documentary is correct, and even assuming it's the date they were shooting the reenactment, that's fine too. What I did was I looked for every Wednesday the 12th between 9/30/14 and present day, and I came up with 3: 10/16/2016, 8/12/2015, and 11/12/14. We also learned in the intro that My Roanoke Nightmare was a hit in 2015, so it makes the most sense that these things aren't happening literally months before then they shot the show and filmed it all, because we know they filmed the reenactments in summer according to Rory, leading me to believe the blood moon takes place in October, November, and Diana went missing on 10/12/16. And Matt also tells them in the kitchen later that night that the blood moon is coming and that the moon is not full yet. So how are these ghosts killing people when the blood moon is not active yet? And piggybacking off my last statement, I believe that from the time Rory and Audrey are alive to when Rory dies and Matt finds the completed murder all takes place in one evening, because all the scenes appear to be nighttime. No time appears to have passed in regards to days. But given our current understanding of the Roanoke curse, they can spook people at any time, but only kill or be physical during the blood moon, which is shown to not be full, but nearly a full waning gibbous moon, which is surprisingly red given that it is not the blood moon. This has also led me to believe that maybe possibly the ghosts of Roanoke have become more powerful somehow, and that the blood moon fluctuates. It gets longer some years, and some years it's not as long. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the charred man following the real Lee around inside the house. Maybe stalking is a better word, because he only really follows her for one scene. But my best guess is it's either the real Mason as a ghost or the real Edward, since he was roasted alive. Some people have said the pigman, but I don't really think the pigman is a specific character. I think it is an entity of the forest and just does the forest's bidding. And just to kind of wrap it up, I wanted to point out some other facts I noticed during this episode that some other people might not have noticed. Agnes, when it shows the police call where Audrey is being terrorized by Agnes with a knife outside her house, it takes place at 3:12 a.m. on 3/20/16, giving further proof that this actually takes place in 2016, not any of the other 3 dates I mentioned. That's going to wrap up pretty much everything that I wanted to discuss in my post, and I just decided to make a video because I figured it would be easier. My current theory is that I believe that the lone survivor, is someone who made a deal with Lady Gaga's character. I say that knowing that Lady Gaga's character is not actually the real one in the forest, merely the one who played her in the reenactment, but I don't know her name. So, that's that. That's my really only theory, is that someone has made a deal. I don't know who it is. My best guess is Matt, just because he acts kind of shifty. He did have the encounter with the sisters, the nurses, before, so that could be explained why he knows the R for Rory, the R means Rory thing, but it's still kind of creepy. And I just thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and I hope to hear people's response.